Thanks for joining us again for another Minds of the Spectre. Tonight we're going to have a roundtable discussion about several different topics. I've got Spectre Ames with me tonight and Spectre Sinense. We've got some things coming up that we think are pretty exciting. We're going to be discussing upcoming projects. We're going to be discussing some tournaments that we're going to be participating in, some other events, and some of our new things that are going on the table, VAT reps and that kind of thing. We'd like you to join us for this discussion and be entertained by our witty banter and our different replies. We've got some serious topics to discuss. We're going to be going into 3 different categories tonight. Starter box, which is what we're coming up with for new projects and that kind of thing. We're going to be discussing what's on the comlink. We're going to be discussing news around the community. And then in the drop zone, we'll be discussing what's coming up and what we're looking for in the future for Spectre Studios. Thanks for joining us.
Starter box.
Go. Hey, in the starter box, our little segment here about what's coming up and what we've got for projects going on. We're really excited about some of the new games coming out. We've been playing around with it a little bit, and we're going to be looking forward to a bat rep coming up that we're going to be taping. But X-Wing by Fantasy Flight Games, a new miniature model game that's now on the table and has just come out into production. We're really excited. We bought a bunch of ships, not as many as we're going to buy, but what we've come up with so far has provided us with some really entertaining games. Spectre Sinense, you've kind of taken the lead on this one and are interested in putting together the entire Empire and Rebellion Air Force to do some big battles with. What do you think?
I have really been drooling over this since I heard rumor of this being productive. I have grown up since I was born very early in the 70s when Star Wars was coming out. I have been a fan absolutely straight through with a lot of stuff that's going on. And I have been looking since the little Kenner toys that we all grew up with as boys, and then an opportunity to look for something that would increase into our hobby for this. I think WizKids or something like they did some stuff, but the models just weren't really in the game. Just didn't capture it. I didn't like the scale differential of going this. As soon as they were like dog fighting, Imperial ships, X-Wing to TIE Fighter, oh my lord. So I've been psyched about this game right off the bat. We've gotten in some games. We got a future bat rep ready organized for this. I just couldn't wait to put these TIE Fighters flying around and just going on and battling each other. And the game is smooth. I've dealt with a little bit of fantasy flight in flight simulators, and it really is a lot of strategy, a lot of good playing, and it is definitely dice rolling, unpredictability, and definitely some interesting pilots and stuff like that. That was cool.
It's actually funny you brought it up. The WizKids game was based on some card models, little individual cards that came in a plastic format. You broke them out of the frame, put them together, made little ships. Spectre Ames and I sunk quite a bit of money into that particular game, and have quite a large Air Force and all the different factions. Carl, maybe you can speak to the differences between the WizKids game and now the new Fantasy Flight game.
As far as the mechanics of the game itself, the new Fantasy Flight game is decidedly more complex. There's some nice things. I'm not going to get into too much of the detail on it, but I think that the game actually gets into more of the one-on-one starfighter type of combat, right? Whereas the previous WizKids game was more of a card game. There's a very large part of the cards coming into the aspect of how things worked. They simply use the ships as models and place markers, whereas this is very much about the models, and they come with fairly well done for mass-produced models, pre-painted. They're not as nice as quality paint job as like an individually hand-brushed model that someone like one of us would be putting together, but for mass-produced, it's a pretty good quality. I'm definitely looking forward to playing more games.
Certainly, and insofar as the WizKids game goes, it was more of a collectible card game, as you were saying. It really delved along with the collectible deck that you build, and really the card models were just placeholders and decorations on the table. They really didn't move around much or get pushed around. They were just there to basically give a visual representation of the game. Whereas X-Wing is much more interactive. It's definitely a figure game. There are some cards that are involved, but everything you need to play with the game comes with each model, and there's no collectability. There's no rares or anything like that you have to try to buy to get extras. So you buy your ships, you buy your starter box, you're ready to play. One of the other big advantages, as Spectre Sinense pointed out when we first started playing this, is that all you need is the initial box set. It's a point-based game, and even out of the initial box. You can spend 50 or 60 points on your force and have it right there to play. With the addition of just a couple extra ships, we found that we've had some pretty long battles, and it's been pretty fun. Some crazy activity going on the table where the maneuver system really comes into play. So look forward to the battle reports that we're going to be doing, because we were looking forward to doing them for you. It's going to be some really fun games. And as Carl pointed out, the models are very well done. They're very well detailed, especially for the small size of the models. And the paint jobs are really nice too, even for just a mass production.
Painted. A game that comes pre-painted, you cannot say enough about games like that for the value of the set. And each of the models coming pre-painted means you're looking already right out of the box at high quality. Anybody can grab them, and you're not going to be differential from quality of who you're playing against. These ships will fit right in, and you have a great early start to a Star Wars battle. I mean, that's right out of the box.
Right out of the box, put it on the table and play. Which brings us to the next category that we want to talk about. One of our new projects coming up, and as Carl mentioned, for a production quality paint job, it's really nice. However, Carl is really our resident painter in the studio, and he'd like to talk about a segment that he's going to be doing in a video series that he's going to be putting in place for you. We're calling it Under the Brush. Spectre Ames, let us know what you're going to be doing.
Okay, well, there's going to be two parts to the Under the Brush. There's going to be two approaches, and it's going to be more or less all about the painting aspect of the hobby, and we're going to talk into different techniques of painting that we have. There's a variety of techniques that people use for different effects, and then there's also going to be episodes where I'm going to be focusing upon particular paint jobs, models, units, that type of thing. What I've got right here in front of me right now are a couple of units of Harlequins from the Dark Eldar and Eldar line from Warhammer 40k. These right here are the Harlequin troop leaders, and these are ones that I've started painting. I'm going to be using one in my Eldar army, and the other one I'm painting up for Spectre for his Dark Eldar. And so at some point we'll see these two units square off against each other. And one of the things I'm looking forward to in Under the Brush is to highlight painting projects that I'm doing for my Eldar army and for other Spectres. Units here and there, vehicles, that type of thing. And talk about the painting projects and how the individual models are painted, and then start from there. Also start getting into the techniques. There's a variety of techniques that painters use, and I've been painting for a little over 10 years now, and I've picked up a whole lot of different techniques, and I'm really looking forward to being able to share a lot of these techniques with our viewers, and really hope that people really enjoy and learn from some of the techniques that I've picked up. A couple of things that I've learned to put different techniques together and come up with different effects.
All right, so thank you, Spectre Ames. What you can't see right now because of the distance of the camera, and we haven't really got to zoom in on these yet. Carl is going to be really getting some close work done, but his paint jobs, we all agree, are phenomenal. His techniques are spot on, solid, and everything he does places the paint perfectly on the models. They're absolutely beautiful. So we really encourage you to, anytime you're in an event where Spectre Studios is at, and Spectre Ames has something on the table, take a look, get really close, see what he does, because he's going to be putting out some awesome videos that are really going to let you improve your paint skills and bring it to a level that is just wonderful to see on the table. We really look forward to both his videos and what you do with your work based on his recommendations. So that is what we have in the starter box. And what we're going to be doing is moving on to our next segment in just a moment. It's going to be called On the Comlink, and it's going to be all our news that we're going to be dealing with in all our community chatter. We're going to be talking about the different things that are going on in the gaming community and the topics that they're talking about. We hope you continue to listen and watch our videos and keep in with all the news.
Messaging on the com.
All right, so on the Comlink, community chatter and what's going on around the different gaming communities that we're involved in. Tonight we're talking about a couple of different topics that's come up fairly often in the last few weeks in the upcoming discussion of tournaments that are going on in the area. The big thing that's near and dear to everybody's heart, or not, in this new 6th edition is the Doube Force organization at 2,000 points. basically, in a lot of people's minds, Games Workshop has opened up a new wine cellar and added a big line of cheese to go along with it. We're looking at 2,000 points, but the ability to really spread out your Force Org by having a double Force organization in that 2,000 points. So you can have up to 4 HQs, up to 12 troop choices, and up to 6 of any other Force organization slot. The one caveat or downside to that is you do have to fill out both Force organizations. So 1 HQ and 2 troops in each of the Force organization lines. So minimum 4 troop choices in the double Force Org, which in the new system where you have to have scoring units to get to the objectives, you're going to run into a lot of 2 and 3 and 4 troop choice options to begin with. But a lot of people are seeing that 6 Force organization slots for elites, heavies, and fast attack is really kind of over-the-top cheese commentary on what you can really max out and do for the min-max kind of army builds. Spectre Ames, you've been out of the gaming community for a little bit insofar as 40K goes, and so fairly new to the 6th edition, and really didn't have a lot of experience in the 5th edition. What do you see as the major changes happening with the Double Force organization, and how does it affect your mindset for your armies now that you're moving into a new edition?
I'm definitely kind of more in the cheese kind of camp, because I think that allowing the armies to basically overstock or purchase certain types of units really pushes the army as a whole towards something that is not necessarily indicative or representing what the army is really capable of, or what the feel or theme of the army is, as far as the setting for 40K, what the genre is supposed to be, where it's Space Marines, you're supposed to have a couple of tactical units, and that's supposed to be for the stock Codex Marines. You're looking at by the Index Astartes, you're looking at tactical squads at the core of the army. That's what the army is built around, with a couple of specialized support units that allow a great deal of tactical flexibility. When you're looking at something like this, and suddenly you say, well, instead of that, I'm going to go with 3 Dreadnoughts and 3 units of Terminators, and that's going to be basically my core army. And then I'm going to have a couple units of basically minimum or relatively small squads of Space Marines, Tactical Marines. At that point, you start really getting into a very type of area where you're really losing a lot of the theme and a lot of the feel from the genre and the canon of the game.
So what do you think, Spectre Sensei, about how the Double Force organization is going to affect your, or where you see your armies going?
It's definitely a glass half full, half empty type of aspect. In some armies, it is just difficult to do. For Tyranids, I could really weigh in some Hive Tyrants, but I'm really going to hurt on a lot of my other choices, selection for wise. 2,000 points. The other parts, certain armies can really abuse it, like Imperial Guard can really just take such small units and really take a great advantage of things like that. Playing both armies, I can see that level going on. It really depends on the players. But it's one of those allied, I understand it's a great marketing tool, it's a great pushing of models, but there's a lot of balance issues that haven't been figured out yet with the new codexes coming out. You're really getting a lot of opportunity when you go to a tournament to have just such an abuse, and especially with special characters, which is, I feel, at a component compounded on a lot of problems. Because if everything stayed on the base core of the rules of the codexes, you're fine. But when you build on top of things that are going to allow you to have 4 special characters in a group, that can be frighteningly scary.
Not only 4, but now 5.
Yeah, so
because you can have the additional allied force organization add-on.
Yeah.
And I have been saying since 3rd edition that I think Games Workshop really shot themselves in the foot by limiting the army builds to the force organization slots. Before that, it was a amount of points per area of the army that really allowed you to specialize or build the army that you wanted by allocating the points to the different areas or different types of troop choices. So when 3rd edition came around and you had to buy specifically troop choices and 3 fast attack, 3 heavies, those kinds of things, those were your maximum. I think it really shot Games Workshop sales in the foot. And we saw that happen in the mid-90s going into 2000, where the prices really shot up because they were really affected by the limitation in their sales.
Yeah, and I think you're right with a lot of the sales part. I think Jervis Johnson covered it in one of his articles in White Dwarf, where I think this is where the community needs to adjust. we've really become from 3rd edition, like you said, and the limitations of the models, that made it very competitive. Whatever points you got were the points you had to field versus your opponent. It was very chess-like. This is what you have, this is what you need to field. And it opened up a real tournament system for a lot of people to play with. They look like they're going in the direction of a hobby, like what you're talking about, where like I want to collect and field and play what I want to field. I like tanks. I want to field tanks. This organization allows me to field more tanks because I like it. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a fun time. That's Spectre hands when I fire lots of cannons at you. But yeah, it depends on. It really kind of may limit the community how well you want to play. And I think that's where a lot of our buzz is going on. Is like it's been what's fair, what's going on right now. The flyers have blown up. You put that in the aspect of what this community thing, where you can add, I'm just going to buy minimum troops, and then I'm going to get more fast attacks. I'm going to put a lot in that. There's been a real big heartbreak on Necrons of what horrible things they're doing with their flyers because they come on dedicated transports. You're talking 12 of those Necron flyers that can be put in if you but it's 2,000 points. But the 2,000 point is the starting point of that Double Force Org. You've got 3 or 4. Holy crap! You're talking about a lot of things you can put on the table, which is difficult to do.
Sure, the Doube Force Org does open up larger point games by allowing more slots to buy into, so you can really maximize troop options and troop depth versus having to just pile the points into your figs to make the 2,000 or 3,000 points in your limited Force Org slot. I think you pointed it out, and I think it hits the nail right on the head. The game is now switching back over to a more hobby-oriented game. All the random stuff, all the objectives and terrains that you have to roll randomly, they're really not aimed at tournament play. It's no longer streamlined. It's no longer a tournament system. And I think a lot of people are feeling that, especially the tournament players who are looking to have that specific, as you pointed out, chess build where you know exactly how many Force Org slots your opponent's going to be fielding. Now you can't tell. I mean, he can put down 6 heavies if he wants.
Our community
7 really. Yeah, 7 really. If you do the allies on top of that, you can now put that in. As you mentioned, the HQ choices. Now, let's look at Space Wolves. Now you can have 9 special characters in the army, 8 special characters in the HQ, and in fact, Space Wolves have a couple of special characters in the other slots. You could have 10 special characters from Space Wolves now.
Yeah.
So just ridiculous in that regards, what you can actually do. Obviously, 2,000 points would not cover that particular build, but what you can start putting into the army now is just ridiculous. It opens up the sales. It opens up the way Games Workshop can market their stuff. But now we're really looking at a lot of, let's use the word controversial builds.
Yeah. And it's definitely led to a lot of debate in our community, but that may be what we're all looking at. We really wanted fair, competitive play. But if we really look at the hobby aspect of what this is doing, what's going on with the system and the Double Force Org, it definitely adds a lot more element to it. But I think the Allies and Force Org, Double Force Org, are something that could really be taken out of tournament communities just because it just allows really competitive builds of cheese to really hit tables if you're trying to get out of competitive with the rest of the random stuff going on.
Yeah, we did talk about the Necrons. One of the local players runs Necrons, and he was able to get 4 turns of night fight in by having a special character that he could put in multiple times that gave night fight rules each round to activate each round. So 4 rounds out of 5 in night fighting. So he was touting that as a kind of a ridiculous build that he could manipulate with his. Also, as Spectre Sensei pointed out, the flyers now, which were a big new rule and a big new thing on the table, a little difficult to deal with because they haven't really built in the anti-flyer aspects of the game yet to the current codexes because they're all behind the edition. The new flyers now are something that people are dealing with, and now it's going to be compounded or can be compounded in this multiple Force Org, especially with the squadrons of flyers that the Imperial Guard are able to take.
Yeah.
Spectre Ames, you haven't really faced many flyers yet, but I mean, really, do you have any kind of hope in your Eldar army that it can really deal with the flyers? I mean, you've got a lot. Basically, you need a 6 to hit it. So, how do you see your Eldar facing off against a flyer army? Such as we might have in an upcoming bat rep, maybe.
I think probably one of the problems that I'd be looking at would be some of the flyers with like an armor 10 or 11. Numbers of shots can address that, but when you start looking at like an armor value of 12, there's not very many weapons that are going to be able to put out the number of shots unless you've got the Skyfire rule, and there's very few things that have that yet because the codices are still behind the development of the new edition. So Chaos Codex just came out. They've got something to deal with flyers. Once you start seeing more codices come out, then you'll start seeing other armies have more tools to deal with them, other than the Aegis defense line with the quad cannon and the Icarus laser cannon. Once you start seeing other armies have these other tools, something like a Necron army with, you said, what, 12 flyers?
Oh,
You can fit 12.
Yeah,
12 flyers. Once you start seeing other armies have other ways of dealing with them besides those the two fortifications, once you start seeing those come out, then you'll start seeing that swing back the other way, away from that type of play, and more towards the more of a balance. And people will realize, well, if I come out with 12 flyers, they're going to be able to shoot them out of the air, and there's the vast majority of my army right there. Yeah. And I think the Doube Force Org thing, I think one of the interesting things over the next few months, next year or so, is what level are the games going to be played at? What tournaments point values are we going to be seeing? Are we going to be seeing 1850 become the standard for tournaments? Or is the tournament going to be 2,000 points? That's going to be an interesting thing. And over the next year or so, as the game begins to mature a little bit, the new edition becomes less new, and we get more used to it, and we find some of the more subtle aspects of the game. We'll start seeing how that changes and what effect this has on the metagame as an overall thing. And
Absolutely.
Flyers are definitely a big part of it.
Especially where the new codexes are rumored to come out. We're looking at the Dark Angels. We're looking at a couple of the different armies that have been behind a little bit. There's a rumor Eldar will get a codex relatively soon because they're so far back on the list. And the new tower expected to come out, which is drawing a lot of excitement. So we've got a couple of different things going around the community right now. Flyers, Doube Force Org, all interesting stuff and all controversial in a lot of different ways. But again, all back to Games Workshop sales. We've got the Flyers, and we've got the new Force Org slot for the fortifications, and those are the only way to deal with Flyers, so that's what they're selling. If you want Flyers, you need fortifications. If you're going to have fortifications, then the Flyers are going to be an issue that they'll have to deal with. So until those sales start to slow down, I don't think we'll see too many codexes coming out with too many options to really shoot things out of the sky. But that's where we're at on the comm link in the community, and we're looking forward to giving you some other stuff coming up. Our next segment is going to be in the drop zone, what we're looking for in the future and what we've got on our plate. We hope you join us in the drop zone soon.
Woo! We're in the drop zone.
You're on. All right, so now we're in the drop zone. We're looking at our upcoming events, our future plans. We're looking at the things that we'd like to do, and also we're thinking about what you want to do. We're hoping that at some point you'll get on these videos, give us some comments, let us know what you're looking for and what you'd like, and where you're going to be, where we're at. You want to challenge us? That's where it's going to come down on the table. We're here, you're there, meet us in the middle, and we'll throw down. But what we've got coming up right now is some upcoming bat reps. In fact, just bracketing me here, Spectre Ames and Spectre Sinense are talking about a little bit of smackdown here going on in our near future at the gaming store. We're looking at Spectre Ames Eldar Warriors and Spectre Sinense's
Dark Eldar, the dark side of the Force.
Little yin and yang going on, a little grudge match. I think these two gentlemen are going to be throwing down the glove in the middle of the field and flipping the coin to see who goes first. What are you guys going to do here?
Roll a die and not flip a coin.
Roll heads. 2,000 points.
2,000 points.
You want Doube Force Org? Try it. I already built an army. I built this army. Modeling style just corrupted, horrible mindset of really not fully all Dark Eldar, just a couple of specials here and there. But yeah, and it's going to be Carl's introduction to the first beautiful flyer, Silkstar, my baby, to cause some mayhem.
I'm going to shoot that thing down.
The Razor Ring Fighter is a definite nasty event for the Dark Eldar. It's proved its mettle in very tight situations and tough games. It's always come out a winner. I don't think we've had it shot down too many times at all.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about any close combat that he can bring his way Eldar-wise. We're actually just going to tear him up.
Ooh.
Basic troops. Tear him up.
Spectre Ames, you got some smack talk going on here. What are you all going to do to counter this Dark Eldar?
That's not how it's going to go.
Yeah, it's happening.
It's not.
What are you going to use? What do the Eldar have? Can't even shoot.
They got a little discipline.
Oh, let me tell you, they can shoot. I've been going around the gaming store for the last few months in 6th edition, and people have been saying, "Oh, the Eldar can't do anything. Ballistic skill 3."
We have your bat rep of your demise.
Yeah, they're soft, they're squishy. Ballistic skill 3. I put down on the table thinking my sisters would have a decent chance, and all I saw was Ballistic skill 4 just blasting my forces right off the table. And let me tell you, there's a whole squad of guys with guns that they don't even have to roll for damage. 1 and 2 is no effect, but Carl doesn't roll 1s and 2s. 3 and 4 is a glance.
He rolls 1s and 2s against me, though.
Not in this edition.
Yeah, he did.
We'll see.
So,
I have to warm up my dice a little bit, I guess.
look forward to this battle report because we're definitely going to be throwing down. We're going to be recording it for your enjoyment, and I guarantee that there's going to be some hilarious events going on here. We've also got some Got Tabled coming up.
Yes.
With some different board games that we've been putting in place for you.
You can look for that. My host Steve Pisani has that all situated. Just waiting for a couple more clips to get situated for rules and introduction-wise. But I have 2 of those episodes coming up, and even one that I'm going to be hosting myself down the road a little bit late in November. I'll have another one up, which is going to be apparently going to be Munchkin and my family. So a little bit of the Sinensi aspect with a little one, his little nephew playing some Munchkin. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, so as you can see, Spectre Studio branches out in many different directions. I don't know that you'll ever get me to play Munchkin, but enjoy that and have fun.
There's a superhero Munchkin that will be seen in Spectre Studios as well. That will be a group here. The things I'm still planning on. As the producer of Spectre Studio, you guys following in the drop zone, the idea, I brought all these people on. They're Spectres. They're long-term friends of mine. But it's diversity, the actual ability to do a lot of extra work for what we're going on here. Carl bringing on, he talked a lot about Under the Brush. I'm so excited about getting a painting segment on the channel. This is going to be fantastic. He's like he said, he's taking some of my models. I'd love to paint myself, but to get this moving and get the models in Carl's hands, which he will do better than me anyways, will be awesome to get you guys to see that. It's just great technique going on with that. We've got bat reps going on. I've got Steve Basani hired on basically to help with the studio. So we've got a lot of Got Table, which is very similar to seeing a lot of different table games to keep the diversity and the change going on. So you're going to see the 3 different type of games are not the same game. The first one you saw was Zombie Side. The second one we got planned up is Citadels, which a lot of other Spectres helped tape, so which should be a really, really funny episode. I can't wait myself. I haven't got to see all the pieces myself personally, but this is the fun part of what we're doing here for Spectre Studios is getting this thing all moved up and producing, and we have more plans to do more.
And also, as we pointed out, we're interested in what your opinions of our work are, and also any ideas you might have. If you've got any board games that you want to see in the Got Tabled event, let us know. Maybe we can put it down for you so you can get an idea how they play, or just get an idea of how we play them. Or if you want to come play them with us, let us know, and we'll see what we can do to arrange a time to table that and get it going. What we also have going here now is Spectre Studios is branching out and getting into some of our local events. We've got some Apocalypse games coming up and some local tournaments that we're going to be getting some players into in the Spectre Studio format. In fact, what's coming up recently, or not recently, excuse me, what's coming up in the near future is an Apocalypse event that Spectre Sinense is going to be throwing down on. And we've got a couple of local tournaments for our gaming store that we're also going to try to get some players into as well. Carl, you and I have been talking about a team tournament coming up. There's no real plans for the date yet, but in the next team tournament for our local store, I think Spectre Ames and I will be teaming up and putting some models down. And Spectre Foreman and Spectre Sinense may also be teaming up as well. And then the Apocalypse event coming up.
Craziness.
Yeah, it's going to be 3,000 points per force. And there's looking at, 10 or 15, maybe 20 players that are already talking about joining up for it.
We had a good showing last time. My Harridan had, with the rules, the last part of the 5th edition, was absolutely fantastic, tore everything up. And I plan on, this time I'm probably going to be on Turner's side, which he vortexed most of my army last time. The nice Death Strike vortex missile. But you lose pieces in the Apocalypse, but you learn to play on, and the Harridan made up for much more of the army that I lost. This one that I'm coming up with, I decided I'm going to help the Imperium from the last battle. I think there was a little bit of a fuss, and I'm going to bring the Imperial Navy, and I'm going to bring it hard. I've got like 5 to 6 flyers, so it's going to be fun.
So there's those flyers again we're talking about, now in the Apocalypse format. where Spectre Sinense is going to be running squadrons. So look for that on the table. Hopefully we'll get some shots. I don't know if we'll get any video of that, but we'll definitely get some stills to get in the gallery.
Yeah.
Speaking of galleries, something coming up in the future. We haven't got it there yet, but we'll be getting a Facebook page out there for you to be able to get some of our work on and see what's going on. Also to comment and let us know what you're thinking. And Spectre Ames, we're going to be running a lot of your content there as well, just to see all the gallery work. And again, absolutely phenomenal brushstrokes. His painting is top notch. No one here disagrees. We're all looking forward to whatever he can teach us to put paint on our figs and make everybody go ooh ah. So that is what we've got in the drop zone today, and we really look forward to getting out here again and doing another event for you. We've got a lot of roundtable discussion going on for the near future. And
one last thing in the drop zone for what we're doing in the building. We have a bat rep that we talked about we're going to be doing for X-Wing. I am also in plans on building the asteroid field. So, yeah.
I might have to see if I can find any of my old stuff for Battlefield Gothic.
Yes.
See if I can find some of those.
Yeah, there's some part of it, but I can't wait to try to fly TIE fighters into asteroids.
Ion cannons. A great thing on a Y-Wing, let me tell you.
He may not even need to hit me with an ion cannon. It'll go right there.
Well, an asteroid doesn't look like your own TIE fighter, so you should avoid those.
Maybe. Thank you very much for following us.
All right, so that is in the drop zone.